When Shaquem Griffin gets drafted and his long journey to the NFL is complete, you're going to hear the word disabled a lot. The dictionary defines the expression as follows. Disabled, impaired or limited by a physical, mental, cognitive, or developmental condition, affected by disability. But the athletes I'm about to list don't buy into that definition at all, especially the parts about impaired or limited. Here are 5 amazing quote-unquote disabled athletes coming up right after this. Now before I list out these amazing athletes, I want to let you know the criteria I use to select them. There are disabled athletes out there and wonderful associations that give them a platform to play, and they should definitely be acknowledged and their accomplishments lauded. However, for this video, I wanted to take it up a notch and feature players who competed against the best in the world, in particular against other athletes that didn't carry the same limitations. Number 5, Jim Abbott Baseball. Born without a right hand, Jim Abbott, who hailed from Flint, Michigan, was a major league pitcher for the Angels, White Sox, Yankees, and Brewers. With a big fastball and sweeping curve, Abbott won a career-high 18 games in 1991 and sported an ERA of 2.89. And 2 years later, pitched a no-hitter. And though most of his career was played in the American League where they could use a DH for him, Abbott was able to take a few at-bats during his career. And not just once, but twice, Abbott got base hits swinging the bat with one arm and looking much better than Tebow did against Max Scherzer. Number 4, Jacques Machado, Sport Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. Now, you may have never heard of Jacques Machado or even Sport Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is basically the ground portion of MMA fighting and is much like wrestling in terms of scoring and competition. A tough, physically demanding sport that involves skill and technique once had been dominated by Jacques Machado, who, due to amniotic band syndrome, was born with only the thumb and little finger on his left hand. In a sport where gripping and controlling your opponent is key to winning, Machado from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, took on and defeated the world's best in the sport, winning gold in the 1999 Abu Dhabi, widely regarded as the premier submission grappling tournament in the world at the time. Machado would even fight in MMA against UFC vet Frank Trigg in 1998, lasting 2 rounds. Honestly, I think it would have been a little fairer had they given him a prosthetic steel hand, though. Number 3, Tom Dempsey Football. Few handicapped athletes receive so much attention that the rules actually have to be rewritten, and in this case to stamp out a supposed advantage a disabled person may receive. Tom Dempsey was born without toes on his right foot and no fingers on his right hand. Dempsey kicked with his right foot, which had a modified shoe that made the front of his foot flat. Kicking in the NFL for 5 teams over a 10-year period, Dempsey was pretty darn good, including a kick which at the time was the record for longest kick ever, a 63-yarder as time expired in 1970 to give the Saints a win over the Lions. Despite having half a foot, a few reporters thought his shoe gave him an advantage, to which Dempsey responded, "Unfair, eh? How about you try kicking a 63-yard field goal to win it with 2 seconds left and you're wearing a square shoe? Oh yeah, and no toes either." It was discovered that his shoe actually made it more difficult to kick, not easier. In 1977, the NFL made the Tom Dempsey rule, making it a requirement that any kicker with an artificial limb must have a shoe that conforms to that of a normal kicking shoe. So under today's rules, Tom would need a fake boot to kick. Number 2, Anthony Robles, wrestling. Some things you just have to see to believe. And if that statement is true, you are about to become a believer. Born without a leg for unknown reasons from an early age, Anthony Robles didn't make any excuses. Shunning his prosthetic leg at age 3, Robles didn't want to just be normal. He wanted to be better. Against the odds, Robles began wrestling in 8th grade and started his high school career off with an average record of 5-8, like many freshmen do. But he got better, using his lower center of gravity and technique to dominate, winning 2 Arizona State championships and going on to wrestle in college. Sure, the story would be amazing if that's where it ended, but it didn't. And in 2011, after going undefeated at 36-0, capped his collegiate career by winning the 125-pound national championship against Matt McDonough, the defending champion, in a score of 7-1. Maybe others have excuses, but to me it looks like Anthony Robles is fresh out of those. Number 1, Bethany Hamilton, surfing. Bad things happen to good people, and sometimes those bad things serve as an example to the perseverance of the human spirit and the courage to not be deterred by awful things. At age 13, Bethany Hamilton had already accomplished a ton as a surfer, winning 2 competitions, one against adults. But in October of 2003, during a morning practice surf with her best friend, tragedy struck the young girl from Hawaii. As she lay on her surfboard, a 14-foot tiger shark attacked Bethany from below, instantly severing her arm just below the shoulder. Her best friend, Alana Blanchard, and her family helped rush Bethany to the shore, where a makeshift tourniquet fashioned out of a surfboard leash was put on what was left of her arm, as Bethany clung to life while losing a tremendous amount of blood as she was rushed to the hospital. After tense moments, Bethany was stabilized and began to heal, determined to get back in the water and surf. And after only a month had passed since the accident, she was back in the water and surfing again. With a modified board and adjustments made for her missing arm, Bethany picked up right where she left off, entering a competition a year later and resuming her career in what she was meant to be, a professional surfer. Sharks be damned. Hamilton has won numerous surf competitions and is married now with 2 children. Her story has been covered many times, and she is a testament to one of my favorite sayings of all time. Those that think they can and those that think they can't are both right. Disabled. What a BS word. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and of course subscribe. And don't forget to download the FanDuel app and use my code SCORE5 for a free entry into the NBA Clutch Shot with your first deposit. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video. And for God's sake, go out and accomplish something today.